Hey guys, Miss Chenoweth here, and this is for your exploration on how to create depth using color. So you can use a lot of different color media for this. So this demo is going to be a quick demo on a couple different ones. So I'm going to share with you, these are actually oil pastel, and you can kind of see there have this very nice sort of like soft nature. So I'm going to do a demo of that. And then the other thing is watercolor. And I'll show you how to use that. And then I also have some collage things. So take your pick. I prefer you to get away from color pencil. So just be considering that as well. All right, so the first thing you want to do, you want to get a square. I actually had a piece of cardboard about that size. You could take like an old greeting card, is kind of like a nice size. Trace around it. Create 1, 2, 3, 4 mountain ranges. And then get your media. All right, so this is oil pastel, and oil pastel is very soft, so you definitely want like a piece of paper towel that you can blend with. All right, and we're trying to keep in mind the different properties of color as we move along so that there are complementary. So you should have done like one of these activities just to explore how you can mix and blend color, and you can do that, you know, in a variety of different media. And we're trying to create that illusion of depth. So here we've got an example of just monochromatic. It's one color. This is a mixture of warm and cool as you go back, and then values getting lighter and lighter as you go back. All right. So I'm going to play around with this idea of warm and cool, but I'm going to use just some different colors here. So instead of starting with orange, I'm going to work with kind of like a more bright, warm color right here, and I'm going to press down really hard. I'm going to try to get rid of most of the white in this area right here. So I'm going to start at the foreground, then I'm going to work backwards. All right, and just go really hard. You can work from an image if you prefer. If this is too boring for you and too, you know, teacher-y like, then you can get an image and try to work from an image and sort of copy an image. All right, so here you can kind of see I can use my fingers. The only drawback with using your fingers, it does make things blend really nice and smooth, but then you get stuff all over your fingers, and then it mixes and it gets kind of messy. So I do like to use, you know, a paper towel to push it around. All right, so here I've got this super bright red, intense color in the foreground. All right, so I want to lighten up in the back. So I could use pink, I could use orange. This is gonna not make it as intense, so I'm just gonna use this. I might even just dull it down a little bit. I'm gonna add a little bit of brown here so I get that effect that, oh, okay, that color's now not popping out as much. It feels like it's behind the red. All right, so that's really the whole point of using this. Okay, so still want to keep it nice and warm. Okay, I could use my finger, or I could blend with the paper towel, whatever you prefer. I kind of want to get rid of this white line there, so let me come back over top and get a little more blend going here. Since it's a little closer here, I'm going to use the paper towel, just sort of blend it. All right, so now it's also lighter in value because you are seeing a lot of the white here, so it gives you that illusion of things going back in space. All right, so the next mountain range, instead of going orange, I'm going to start sort of like with the brown. And I'm just going to use a little bit of brown. I'm using light pressure, just putting a little bit, because I'm going to mix it now with some blue, all right, because the color will tend to get cooler as it goes towards the horizon, like the distance. All right, so I use light so I get light value, and then I'm just going to go ahead and blend it. And again, you can use your paper towel, you can use your finger, whatever you're more comfortable with is okay. All righty, so go on there. That looks like it's sitting back. The other thing I can do, I can come back over top of it with white. That's another way to use value, is to use white. And I can kind of use the white to sort of blend the color together as well. All right, and then for this last mountain range, I want to make it look like it's really far in the distance, so I'm going to start by putting the white down first. And then I'm just going to add, I'm just going to do little bits of blue like this, And then I want to dull it down, so I'm going to add orange. So orange and blue are complementary colors. So I want to have more blue than orange, so it's going to go like that. Instead of mixing with my finger this time, I'm just going to come back over again with the white and just sort of blend them together with the white this way. And just see what happens. All right, so there's a lot of different techniques with the watercolor, with the pastels, the oil pastels. All right, if you like the way that looks, great. If not, you can always come back in and blend it some more with your finger. But here's where you see where I had that red on my finger. So this is what happens when you blend with your fingers. So you just want to be aware of that. That may be a consequence that you really don't want. All right. This also happens with the pastel. So like if you want more pure white, just go ahead. I like to just take my finger, sort of shave it off like that. Because once you get a color on there and you want it to be white, it's really, really hard to get it off. All right, so here I'm going to do the sky. I'm going to do this super fast. So I'm putting down the white first. I could have put the blue first. Generally speaking, the sky is darker up top here, where it's actually over top of your head. It appears darker than it does here, closer to the horizon line. All right, so I'm just going to put some color down. And, just have fun with it. And I'm also going to put a little bit of red at the top to make kind of like purple. Just at the top, just to have a little bit more, color mixing going on here. And yeah, I'm going to use my finger. Do what I told you not to do. But sometimes I just like the softer look of blending with your finger. It's a softer tool than the paper towel. All right, and then I'm just going to come back, and I've got a lot of white in here, so I'm just going to kind of like push these two colors together. You can also think about texture, so it's a very textural quality media. All righty, so that's pretty much that, and I'm looking at it, and I do see this sense of depth, like this is really far away, this is really close up, and I've explored some color mixing at the same time. All right. So that's really your task here. All right, next. So, here's my little card I was using. So the next thing I'm going to do a little watercolor demo. And then I'll just do a short demo as well with collage. All right. So any kind of color you want to use is fine. But again, I want to try to steer you away from color pencil because I'd like you to just get a little more adventurous. All right, mountain range. One here, 1, 2, 3. And if I make like this one really big, and as they get smaller back there, you can kind of see that also creates that illusion of depth, that kind of like change of size from largest to biggest. Okay, I'm going to draw really light lines here. This is going to be for watercolor, and then I'll do the collage on the last one there. Alrighty, there we go. Mountains everywhere. Love it. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do, if I'm going to do a mountain range, I'm going to use watercolor. One of the things you want to remember is that watercolor will run together. All right, so colors run together, and you need to kind of keep that in mind. All right, so I'm going to start again. I'm going to use that illusion of warm and cool and really saturated color in the foreground. Or if you wanted to use a monochromatic, you can use monochromatic, but I'm just going to use kind of like this orangey color for the foreground. What I like to do when I'm putting down a wash, and this is not watercolor paper, so it's not going to have the best result, but a lot of times I'll just put water down where I want the paint to go, okay, and get it all nice and wet so it doesn't get all streaky. And then I'll come back and get my real intense color. And then you can kind of see it'll just sort of like run everywhere wherever the water is wet. And since it is a mountain, it is going to have some texture. So I'm just going to kind of like let that texture sort of go and have fun with that. All right, so remember with watercolor, you don't have white, you don't mix with white, you just mix with water, and the paper comes through as your white. All right, so now I've got this bright one there. Now I'm going to skip. I'm not going to do this mountain range because if I start to put another color right here, it's all going to run into this red. All right, so wet to wet, they like to blend in and, mess each other up. So what I'm going to do here to get this sky and have it nice and sort of smooth, I'm just going to put some water down. And then again, the water, when you put it down, it helps the color to go where you want it to go. All right, so that's nice and damp right now. And in my box here, I'm going to mix up some blue. And I'm going to add a little bit of purple to the blue just because I like that kind of look. So it doesn't look just like, oh, I just pulled it straight out of the pan. Okay, so I want some more intense color, so I'm going to try to get it deeper up here. Now that's almost like a nighttime sky. All right, it's going to go to my water, and I'm just going to sort of like pull it down and let it sort of run a little bit like this. And now it looks really kind of moody, cloudy sort of look, kind of fun. And if I want some more color, I can just sort of put it in there and it'll sort of run. Sometimes I like more of a sort of like greenish sky, so sometimes I also like to, whoops, picked up a little purple there. Sometimes I also like to put like a little bit of green. I'm not going to mix it straight here, but you know, maybe the sky is a little more turquoisey in color. All right, so I'm keeping it real light along the horizon line so that all these different mountains will kind of sit back. All right, so now I'm going to go, and the next mountain I'm going to make orange. But in order to dull that color down, I'm going to take a little bit of blue. So I'm going to go to my blue right here. All right, and I'm going to mix a little bit of that into the orange. And you can kind of see it sort of makes this brown color. All right, and that's going to look like it's further away from the red. Hopefully this red has had enough time to dry. It may blend in a little bit because I'm sure it's not perfectly dry. And I'm also going with a lighter value. All right, so just remember the whole idea is to create the illusion of depth and to use value and saturation to get that idea across. All right, looks pretty good. I'm happy with that. All right, so now I'm going to go and make this a little bit cooler. So I'm going to just go ahead and add more blue to this other orange that I already mixed here. So now it's looking more purplish. And I'm going lighter. It looks gray actually as I'm painting it now in here in this range. And using that lighter value. Okay, so it's got a lot of water in it. So now it's kind of, you're getting that appearance of things like setting back in space. And now I'm just going to take some of that blue and just add more here. And actually I'm going to do a couple scoops of blue here, put it in with that. All right, and then I'm just going to kind of put it in there. And I'm actually hoping that the colors will run together a little bit. Now I'm getting too much of a sharp edge here. I want it to sit back even more so it almost looks like it's sort of hazy in the background. All right, and there we have it. And if I want that to run a little bit more, I don't like that sharp edge there, so I'm just going to put a little water on it, sort of dull it down a little bit, blend that out a little bit because I don't want it to look sharp and clean in the background because I want it to sit backwards. All right, so now you've got just this idea of color. I'm kind of feeling like I might want to come back into this red and maybe with some red and some orange and maybe just intensify the color a little bit more just to increase that illusion of color intensity. Okay. So now that's really, really coming forward. You know, and if I wanted to, I could even paint like a little something in the front. You know, like maybe I wanted to put some trees in there or something, just to add, you know, more to the illusion by creating something that has a few more details and so forth in the front. You know, some nice little pine trees. So if I wanted to like increase that whole idea, I certainly could, and use some of the skills that I practiced before about creating depth. So anyway, have fun with this, and you know, play and experiment. Remember, these should be quick sketches. It's just you kind of trying to learn some different techniques and figure out, you know, what kind of media you want to use and how to use it. All right, switching to the next one. All right, so for this one, I've cut out like a bunch of these different pieces of magazine. I have sort of like warm colors and I have cool colors, again, to kind of like do this mountain range. So what I want to do is I want to pick the brightest color that I have here. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to just tear some of these. You can cut, you can tear. I don't really, it doesn't matter. It's kind of like, you know, whatever style you want to work with is fine. This is sort of like a collage. It doesn't use the depth perception quite as well as what I want to do here. So I'm going to just take a bunch of these little pieces of orange, and I'm going to use it sort of like a mosaic where you have lots of little pieces to make one whole picture. And I'm not going to do this whole entire demo, but what I'm going to do is kind of get these really intense colors, and I'm just going to kind of, you know, tear and fit them in. And then I'm going to glue these down. And I'm not going to do all the gluing here because that'll take forever, and I don't think you really need to see all that. All right, so I'm just going to get these bright colors and tear and sort of just make my first mountain range. And this is kind of fun because the tearing makes sort of like the natural mountain range, you know, feel. All right. And then I would continue like that to fill up this whole space. And probably, if you think about it, it's going to be better to work from the background towards the foreground, because you don't want the foreground to be have the background overlapping the things in the foreground. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so actually probably would be better. So I'm going to start again, just like here. I've got the brighter blue at the top. This is my most intense blue. Love this blue. It's a really rich color. So I could even just start right there. Glue this down here, and then take some of my lighter blues like I have here. You can cut it, tear it, either way, doesn't matter to me. And then this can more become the sky. And then I have these other ranges of blue as well. Maybe I'll just show this cutting demo here. And as the sky gets closer here, it's going to get lighter. And then this blue here is even a little bit more light. Or is that the same? Is that the same? It's about the same. So anyway, I can make that sort of gradation with the blues. And then here in the background, I can, you know, start using these other values here, which are a little bit lighter. And maybe I'll just cut a range. And I could sort of freehand this range too, you know what I mean? Just to sort of help create this whole idea. All right, so I can put that down there and then put this mountain range in the foreground on top of that. All right, so actually I might not even need that line there. I could just sort of fool around with it and make that work. All right, now this is even a lighter range, and actually I could totally use this here. Okay, so it's about that big. I'm just going to cut it there. This kind of works perfectly because it is what it actually is like in real space. And then just get all of that glued down, and I've kind of got like this really nice use of space here, and creating that illusion of depth from brightest colors to more dull to cooler to like this other really super bright back here. And I would just glue all that down, and then try a second one, and that's it. So anyway, have fun, pick the media of your choice, use color to your advantage to create that depth.